The EVMOS ecosystem does have a lot of upside potential, especially when it comes to user-facing applications, liquidity, TVL, and volumes. In this video, we're going to be looking into the current state of the EVMOS ecosystem and my honest thoughts and my conclusion of where this is moving forward to be best positioned for the next bull run. Now, in my previous video, I gave you a 360 overview of EVMOS 2.0, a revamp of the EVMOS tokenomics, a new direction also with the business license to protect the core code base, and also the innovation around EVM extensions. So EVMOS really wants to become this one-stop shop for the Cosmos ecosystem and for EVM applications. Now, the home base for EVMOS is actually app.evmos.org. This is the place where you can access governance, staking, and also flagship applications in the EVMOS ecosystem. If this is your very first time entering the EVMOS ecosystem and you want to get started, I strongly also recommend you to use the EVMOS Copilot to help you navigate through your setup. In short, the way it works is you either connect your MetaMask wallet, or if you're coming from the Cosmos side, you can also use Kepler and you can get started right away. If you want to top up your EVMOS account, you can either do that by bridging from another chain, or you can directly buy with your debit card through fiat currency and top up your EVMOS wallet. If you're a Cosmos user and you want to make it very easy and you have some assets on other chains, I strongly recommend you to use ibc.fun, which is a place where you can trade and swap tokens from another chain and bring them directly onto the EVMOS chain. The two main things that you can do when you have your EVMOS on your EVMOS wallet on the protocol side is that you can use them to stake, which means to secure the chain, and for governance. As of right now, if you go on mapofzones.com, you can actually see that EVMOS currently has over 30,000 monthly active users and actually currently ranks in the top 10 and has so ever since it launched well over a year ago in terms of active usage. The question here is though, what are these guys actually doing? And the answer is mostly they are staking or compounding. EVMOS also launched with a big airdrop, so there's a naturally large token holder base. And therefore, most of these people are just compounding their airdrop or voting in governance proposals. The way you can stake actually is also through this dashboard, through the mission control. You can see this here, EVMOS staking. You can click on stake and manage delegation, and you'll be able to stake, choose your validator. I also strongly recommend you to delegate your stake to a validator that's outside of at least the top 10, maybe even further outside of the top 20. With our validator, Cryptocito, we're actually currently outside of the top 20. So if you want to support decentralization, we appreciate your delegations. And here you can also claim your rewards, restake them, and all these kind of things. If you want to automate your staking and just let it run for the next couple of months, I strongly recommend you to use YieldMOS, which is a non-custodial staking auto compound, and you can boost your APR from 36% to a 41% APY. In order to see your portfolio, you can also see here on EVMOS assets that you can either deposit or withdraw assets from or to EVMOS, and you can see all the coins here that you can hold at one glance, which is really cool. Governance is also a huge topic in all Cosmos, and it's no different on EVMOS. And you can actually directly participate in governance through the EVMOS dashboard. You see all the active proposals here. You see how long they're still up. You can also see the current state, how many people have voted, and what current trajectory is. So those are the EVMOS basics. And if you scroll to the bottom of the page, you can actually see the featured applications section. And this application section is the flagship applications that are currently live on the EVMOS mainnet. Now let's go through the 4 featured applications here one by one, starting with Forge. Forge is a DEX that was actually started thanks to proposal 128 And Forge is a community-owned DEX that launched on March 3rd. Forge is a fork of Uniswap v3, which expired its business license in early March. So after that expired, a lot of projects have forked the Uni v3 codebase, and Forge is that implementation on the EVMOS mainnet. This feature brings concentrated liquidity, which means a much better trading experience. And also, what's specific to Forge is that it uses liquid staked tokens, predominantly STEVMOS, which is liquid staked EVMOS through Stride, as its main token, and other liquid token pairs as their base token pairs. The Orbital Apes team is the core engineering team behind Forge, and the EVMOS DAO is in charge for socials and incentive management. Just 1 month after the proposal passed, Forge was then deployed on the EVMOS mainnet, and during the initial 12-week Inferno incentive program, Forge saw over $22 million in trading volume and captured over 75% of the EVMOS TVL. Now, it's important to understand also that EVMOS in the beginning had other DEXs, for example, Diffusion. However, as EVMOS deployed Nomad as their canonical bridge and Nomad was exploited, a lot of this initial wave and first generation of DeFi applications were basically affected to a degree that they could not recover from that. And ever since, I feel that the EVMOS DeFi ecosystem has slowly crawled back up, and as of right now is still not standing on its feet, but it is slowly and surely getting back up again. So if you want to perform a swap from EVMOS to STAtom or add liquidity, you can also do that through Revert, Finance or Steer protocol to earn extra yield. This is only for the full DeFi degens though, and I always strongly recommend you to take into account the risks here, right? And the risks being low liquidity, impermanent loss, and overall just protocol risks, right? Before you continue watching, thank you so much for subscribing to this YouTube channel. It really means a lot. Like this video, also share it with some of your friends. Also share this video on Twitter if you appreciate that type of content, if you find value in it. And now please enjoy the rest of the video. The second application, which is actually probably the most promising application for DeFi on EVMOS right now, is called Tashi Finance. And Tashi Finance is a borrowing and lending protocol that now deployed on EVMOS. Tashi is built by Realm Blockchain, which is also the team that built Banky. And Banky is the most successful liquid staking solution and lending protocol on none other than Avalanche. So these guys definitely know how to build products and how to also have product market fit. Right now, what you can do is you can supply and borrow Atom and EVMOS. However, there are currently no incentives yet, and the TVL as of right now is around $500,000 US. It's also important to note that Tashi is right now still halfway through its launch phase, and I also think that they're maybe timing this with the market sentiment. Right now it's obviously extremely bearish, very dry. It's very hard to also get users to use products because everyone is just very, very negative right now. And that's also fair enough, right? And it's also a common strategy in the crypto, especially when you launch DeFi applications. So Tashi Finance is definitely something to keep an eye on. And the third application that's featured is actually Orbit Markets, which is an NFT marketplace that has been around since launch. And Orbit Market is the first NFT marketplace on EVMOS and was built by the Orbital Apes team. The cool thing about it is that they have an NFT collection, their own NFT collection, which allows you to earn 20% of the validator revenue that is generated from the Orbital Ape validator. So this is great. On the other hand, we haven't really seen explosive growth or any sort of bad kids-like collections that would drive a lot of culture and a lot of excitement around EVMOS. So I think this is something that has a lot of upside. Now, the fourth and most famous application on EVMOS is in fact Stride. Stride is liquid staking market leader in Cosmos with a TVL of around $30 million US, or maybe you could even say total value unlocked, TVU. This is also how pStake brands it, because what it eventually does is it unlocks the staked value and allows it to be reused also in DeFi. And especially for a token or a chain like EVMOS, where you have very high staking APR. Currently, EVMOS has 36% staking APR. This means that DeFi yield is just not competitive. So people are just staking and compounding. They're not even looking at DeFi applications because the yield is just in the single low digits maybe, right? But with liquid staking, you can unlock and you can basically allow users to do both. So it's not an either or, but it's an and. So you can stake your EVMOS at 36% APR, and you can also use it in DeFi to further boost your APR and to also participate in EVMOS DeFi. As of right now, you can only liquid stake on EVMOS through Kepler wallet. And this is something that obviously is only half of the vision for EVMOS. The full vision, and this is coming very, very soon, is that you will be able to one-click liquid stake with Stride on EVMOS through MetaMask with the help of EVM extensions. And if you're not familiar with EVM extensions, I strongly recommend you to watch my previous video where I explain that in very, very detail. Now, here's my outlook and my conclusion. My conclusion is that right now, the EVMOS ecosystem, in terms of consumer-facing applications, real fees-generated protocol revenue, has huge upside. If we think about the past so far, with the Nomad hack, with also a lot of forks, such as Canto, for example, there has been a lot of liquidity that went elsewhere or that got extracted. And in the future, with the protection of the code base through this implementation of a business license, revised tokenomics for EVMOS, and the implementation for EVM extensions, I think that EVMOS is well positioned to bring back excitement and bring back native development of applications on EVMOS. This is urgently needed. And I think if you also look at the numbers, I mentioned it earlier, over 30,000 monthly active users that are currently just compounding their EVMOS, you need to convert them into actual dApp users. And this is really the mission. And this is where the core team at EVMOS is paving the way from a technology perspective to attract builders and attract also dApp developers. Also, what I think is severely underrated is this whole concept of outposts. And outposts in Cosmos basically enable you to access, let's say, osmosis liquidity, Stargaze's NFT Marketplace on EVMOS. And I think this is really cool. That could also drive a lot of native transactional volumes and usage on the EVMOS network. So overall, this is really the state of it. I think a lot of upside, but also I see a couple of very cool applications like Tashi and also Stride that are doing really well, and that also will drive more eyeballs and more adoption. Also, I'll say that right now is really a very, very tough time to force user activity. So I think the best that they can do right now is to really prepare the technology as good as possible, onboard smart dApp developers, so that in the next bull run, EVMOS is good positioned. I'll leave you with that. Stay safe, guys. Be good, and I'll see you in the next one.